In this 2017 DD Talk, Volition's Michael John Bluth goes in depth on every aspect of the animation process for Agents of Mayhem, from auto tech and design. John Bluth discusses how the studio's approach on how to create and animate an appealing character in a more holistic manner. It was an insightful talk that's definitely still worth watching, so developers should not miss the opportunity to do so now that it's freely available on the official GD YouTube channel. In addition to this presentation, THEGDC Vault and its accompanying YouTube channel offers numerous other free videos, audio recordings, and slides from many of the recent game developers conference events. And the service offers even more members-only content for DD Vault subscribers. Those who purchased all-access passes to recent events, like DD Vault, already have full access to DD Vault, and interested parties can apply for the individual subscription via DD Vault subscription page. Group subscriptions are also available. Game-related schools and development studios who sign up for DD Vault Studio subscriptions can receive access for their entire office accompanied by contacting staff via THEGDC Vault Group subscription page. Finally, current subscribers with access issues can contact DD Vault technical support. A few months back, I played around with, yet again, rebuilding a half-finished Metroidvania-style game I have played around with off and on over the years. One of my goals in this experiment was to use base Unity functionality as much as possible, replacing 2D toolkit and custom systems as much as possible. One of the prime candidates for such a rewrite was the menu system. If it's not immediately obvious from the screenshot to the right, that's essentially a vertical menu with items that have horizontal behaviors. When equipment is selected, you can choose an item to use or equip on the horizontal axis. When an iron slider is selected, you can adjust the value with the horizontal axis. Importantly, the game's intended to be played with a gamepad, so I did not want the presence or absence of mouse or touch input to affect this behavior. Unity OV navigation is pretty smart and got me most of the way there. If you have focused on mouse touch interface when building your UI, good news. If it's a grid-ish format, it probably works the way you did expect. That's thanks to selectable objects like buttons have a navigation property. By default, this is set to automatic, which again, that's the right thing in most cases. Unity uses each object's position to determine which object will be selected when navigating up, down, left, or right. This is basically how controller navigation works. You are building a large chain of objects, which can connect to up to for other objects. Helpfully, there's a visualize button which overlays yellow arrows indicating these connectors. Aside from automatic, the other navigation options are explicit, requires a bit of micromanagement, so it's best to use it only if one of the other options does not give you what you want. It's also, as we will see, something you can manipulate in scripts, which is helpful for generating menus on the fly, or swapping behaviors. The selectable class, the basis for several Unity OV components, and something you can inherit from for your own components, defines set navigation type, setup, set down, set lift, and set right methods for changing navigation properties. Another bit of Unity OV magic I took advantage of was the collection of selectable interfaces, specifically a select handler, ID select handler, and the cancel handler. Each of these interfaces has one method. If your mouse behavior implements one of these interfaces, Unity will pass certain UI-related events to it. All of these methods accept a single event data parameter, which may be a different subclass depending on where it's used. Depending on what you are doing, you may need to call its use method to get correct behavior. This signals to Unity that you are handling the event in your code, rather than relying on Unity's default behavior. Our main stupidity trick is rewiring navigation on the fly to build submenus. My equipment submenu is implemented as a submenu container class, which contains multiple submenu objects. The submenu itself is not selectable. It's simply a manager for the items which are defined in the component. The submenu also knows a few other things, such as which items are previous and next for the submenu, and what the currently selected item is. For example, my submenu above knows that it's the first item in the vertical list, and is followed by the sound slider. It works a little like the old PlayStation system menu, except rotated to radians. I should mention that my equipment submenu is an easy case. Since it's a Metroidvania, I know all of the objects a player might ever have, and I have hard-coded them into the menu game objects. The code's a little complex, partially because I try to abstract it enough to be reusable. So if you want to follow along, it's at https://bit.quit or snippets Dylan of 5x90. When the submenu loads, I prep all of the submenu items by setting their navigation type to explicit using the setNavigationType method of selectable. Then, I iterate through each submenu items as follows. To do this, I implement a selectHandler and I do selectHandler on the submenu item. On selection, the submenu item does a couple of things. On deselection, the submenu item changes the button image to a grayed out, inactive image. This way, the player can see which item is selected, but knows the focus is elsewhere in the menu. I did not actually need to write any code to get the volume sliders to work right with controller navigation. Setting only the sliders up and down navigation properties leaves left and right available to adjust the value when it's selected. However, I do not want the player to have to click the slider to select it. I'd like to allow the player to click anywhere in the sound or music block. To do this, I created a simple redirector class. It's a selectable that uses the non-navigation type, so it cannot be selected with the controller. However, if the player clicks it, a pointer down is fired, which sends the focus to the slider. I apply this to the parent UI element that contains both the sound or music label, the selection frame, and only a slider. When anything in that area is clicked, it passes the selection down to the slider. This is another problem that would not happen with the controller, but becomes an issue if a mouse or touchscreen is involved. Unity's default behavior is to clear selection when the player clicks outside of a selectable object. Normally this is expected. It's not fundamentally different from how most Windows applications behave. But in a controller-only game, recovering from a string click could fail jarring. It's not hard to prevent this by adding the following component, which remembers the last selected object and forces the event system to reset it if it ever becomes null. Because I am deactivating the entire in-game menu object tree when the menu closes and gameplay resumes, I do not have to add any extra logic. When the menu is closed, the script is not running. When it is, no other selectable elements should be active, while the code to manage menu navigation and activation uses built-in Unity UI functionality. Showing and hiding the menu relies on custom code. The game engine knows to stop play and show the menu when game state changes to in-game menu mode. It also knows to hide the menu and resume play when game state changes to playing. I can create a component that uses a cancel handler to detect when the user presses the button designated as cancel (ESC) on the keyboard or start on a gamepad. This tells Unity to call my game engine code and change the current mode. It also tells Unity to stop any additional processing it might doing. Response to a cancel message. Unfortunately, I do not think there's a global cancel handler. OnCancel is only called on the selected object when ESC is pressed. To work as expected, every object in my menu with a selectable component has to implement this handler.